This week has been rough. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't going to miss how things are now in Evrima. Rex may be the talk of the town, but hidden behind the Tyrant King lies something quieter, less dramatically present. Something that will change the Isle of Evrima forever. And I'm not actually sure how I feel about it. In theory, the Elder System is something I've been excited about for a long time. This will be the connecting link. The final stretch to complete the gameplay loop. The ability for my dinosaur to live a long and fulfilling life, and then die peacefully at the end of that life, having defied the odds. Right now, it's not that. And maybe it never will be, who knows. But we're not here to listen to a dotty millennial yap about her personal grievances with a mechanic that's in testing. There's other content creators for that. So instead, we're going to try something a little bit different. 2 dinos, 2 stories, 1 island. I began my week as a Tenno, landing on the ground in Delta, which is quite possibly the most dangerous place to exist, even on the AI servers. I didn't intend to stay long, though. I needed to hit the sanctuary, grab a few mushrooms, and then I'd hit the road and begin my cycle around the island. Just as I approached the danger bridge of death and destruction, though, I spotted a juvie Rex that was hot on my tail. A casual tail slam and a gentle kick to the face had him questioning his life choices. But 2 Seratos had me questioning my own mere moments later. The bridge was not for me. Swimming was far preferable. After all, dinos are a myth. When it came time to leave the sanctuary, I crossed the bridge, for real this time, and found something incredibly odd on the other side. See, the AI Dibbles had spawned with the server restart, and they hadn't all been killed by the Rex hordes yet. I opted to take a closer look while grabbing a snack for the road, and quickly learned that they're a little bit different.
Whoa. Wow.
Is the intelligence in the room with us right now? Because I'm not seeing it. Leaving them to do whatever that was, I began to trek toward Highlands. Or well, I tried to anyway.
Whoa. Fatty.
I did eventually get free of Delta though, because you see, movement is absolutely necessary to not turn into a carrot left too long in the veggie drawer at the end of each dino life. Not really too much of a problem. I'm a traveler by nature. I have a pretty specific route I generally take as I circle the island, and though it has been mildly altered with the map changes, it didn't take long to adjust. Upon starting along the path towards south though, I crossed paths with someone mildly more dangerous than myself. See, he was in the speed phase, and I wasn't exactly planning to get my leg broken or instantly pinned today. No thank you, sir. I managed a pretty slick, if a bit dangerous, escape down to the river. He didn't seem to be following, so that was good. I'd stop along the river and heal a little bit from my minor fall before moving on. Or at least that was the plan, until I heard running footsteps, glanced up from my phone, and mildly panicked as he ran by my bush. Apparently pursuit was very much on his mind. That was okay. I had a super fun game to play. I call it Speedboat Chicken. Between his running after me and swimming back and forth multiple times, the Rex had no choice but to give up and leave me be. It was a valiant effort, though. And dinos, once again, are a myth. So anyway, that was my life. The full maximum extent of things that happened in it. Because soon after, I reached adult while I trotted my merry way through the forest and across West Rail. And then I hit Prime Elder a few minutes after that as I looped into Highlands and began backtracking toward Delta again. I could hope that I'd find something to do. Get hunted, maybe meet another Tenanto even. But I reached the prime of my life at the darkest part of the dawn, and began to grow weak again by the time the sun rose. I chose a nice quiet rock to entomb on, up and out of the way, just to be extra annoying to those who smelled the corpse and got excited, but then couldn't possibly reach it. And the next thing I knew, I was a base-skinned male juvie Tenno in Highlands. I'll spare you the peace and quiet of regrowing, and only give you the highlights of my newly minted 8-mutation prospect Tenno. Nothing happened, until I was a subadult in South. A little Rex really thought he was going to use Crush on a very large Tenanto, and received a kick for his troubles. Of course, he somehow got up and got moving very, very quickly for how long Rex is usually down after being flattened. But that wouldn't save him. And then, much later, fully grown and primed again, I found myself on a rock on Dibble Island, people watching as I had done through most of my growth. I say people watching, but to be honest, this mix pack contained the only other players I'd seen on this full server that weren't dinos, Rexes on the island, and juvies. I had hoped to see some action. I knew there were other Rexes here, but those Rexes had run hidden in the trees somewhere when the mix pack arrived on the island. So anyway, I let them surround my rock as best they could as the 3 slowest moving animals in the game, then proceeded to run right between them and laugh at their efforts to catch me. Sadly, not everyone was as distrustful as I was. A juvenile stego rushed to the adult and was immediately killed and fed to the Rex, who clearly couldn't hunt on his own without herbivores doing the dirty work for him. Anyway, after screaming above them until I hit 100%, I found yet another incredibly inconvenient place to leave this mortal realm. Round 3 didn't last long, though. ESP hacking Seratos don't discriminate. Well, after 2 rather quiet lives on Tonanto, and a bit unwilling to start again, I decided to swap to Carno. Carnivore lives are usually more exciting, even on servers with AI, since you're pushed into interacting with others to survive. My Carno landed in East by the swamp pond. Not sure exactly what happened there, but I found 3 untouched, nearly rotten fresh spawns to scavenge from, and then immediately began my trek toward Delta. Like I said before, I'm a mover and a shaker, so I had no interest in staying in any one place for long. Passing through the Delta Sanctuary, a place I technically only entered because I was getting hungry and hadn't found much by way of food while traveling, I spotted something fun. A fresh spawn Rex dragging another fresh spawn Rex into the cycads. Lunch. My lunch turned out to be more like a snack, as I was rather unwilling to eat the corpse itself. Junk food isn't good for the growing battering ram. Luckily though, as I exited the bridge, I glanced over my shoulder to spot the juvenile Rex running to try and destroy me. That was his mistake. It doesn't take much to knock down a little bone breaker, and once he was down, I had no intention of letting him get back up. With still very little food in my belly, I continued on my way. My intention was to loop through Highlands, pass through West Rail, then cross into South Plains. In doing so, I would almost certainly fulfill my travel requirements for Prime Carno. Highlands was much too quiet, and by the time I entered West Rail, my food was reaching dangerously low levels. I wasn't too worried though. Gateway always provides. I paused in my search for movement to get a drink, and my provisions arrived behind me. This Rex was a little bit larger than the other one. Faster, too. But he learned a valuable lesson about attacking the newly rebalanced Carno while still young. If you don't immediately break its leg or pin it, you are likely to end up dead. Now that I had more food in my belly, I needed to increase my diets. But first, I heard the telltale sound of a juvenile Rex sitting in the underbrush. My dear friends, if ever you try to grow a Rex, never, ever sit down as a baby. I can't tell you how many juvie Rexes I've punted or scared because I heard them snorting their little hearts out in the bushes beside a trail. As I trotted my way around the area, I had heard a nearby galley calling. I needed lipids, and galley was made of those. I spotted the kung fu chicken before it spotted me. Galleys are quick and much more agile than Carnos, but that wouldn't deter me. I looped up and threw south. Just as it had been with my Tenno earlier in the week, it remained barren now. By this point, I genuinely think that the no AI servers are the better ones, despite the clan mixpacker presence. At least players spread out and move around. Anyway, I was close to fully grown by the time I arrived back in Delta. As I approached the bridge, I saw the first players I'd seen since the galley in West Rail. And not realizing that they were prime Seratos until it was too late, I decided I was going to touch them to make sure that they were real. I realized very quickly that I had made an error in judgment. When I looked back over my shoulder to see if they were going to chase me down, I saw yet another Serato dart out of the trees to join them as well. Yeah, nope. By the time I rolled in mud and looped back across the bridge to get a drink, the Seratos were long gone. That was good though. I'd need to get water and find food as quickly as possible. Approaching the river for a sip, I noticed something out of the corner of my eye. And at first I didn't think anything of it, until I realized it was distinctly gator-shaped. Very small gator-shaped. He decided he'd best move away from the shore. I took a nice bath and sat down to heal my bleed before hearing the distinct sound of baby Rexes fighting. Now, I was hungry, but those weren't technically much food. Still, I went to investigate the noise. The winner of the fight approached me boldly and shook his head. All right, respect. I'd allow him to live. I could eat the other two carcasses. Turning around to begin the search for more food, a young galley caught my eye. Oh, see now that would be more substantial than a fresh spawn Rex. After eating, I found nothing else in Delta and made one more loop around the map, still finding nothing. I grew past my prime quickly, and as I returned to Delta for the final time, I felt myself slowing down. I charged a deer, something that I could easily kill with one headbutt previously. And it didn't die. That was it. That was all I needed to know. I was weak. It was time. I traveled far to the only place on the map I hadn't previously been. To North Lake. To one of the old hotspots. Empty as it was now. Shut up, baby Carno, I'm trying to be dramatic. And then I died. And the cycle continues. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like and comment your thoughts below. If you're new here, please consider subscribing for more content like this. Thanks, and I'll see you again soon.